Attention! Plamondon post.
Attention warrior. For exceptionally meritorious service as commander of 411th Engineer Brigade, 412th Theater Engineer Command, Colonel John Paul Plamondon provided focused leadership to 4 engineer battalions geographically dispersed across 6 states. He set the conditions for the success of a deployment and redeployment of multiple units, as well as completion of 40 exercises across the brigade, all while building readiness throughout his command. Colonel Plamondon leaves behind a legacy of highly trained and ready soldiers in the unit, and he is recognized and commended for distinguished performance of duty that represents exemplary achievement in the finest traditions of the United States Army. Signed, Major General Stephen E. Strand, commanding 412 Theater Engineer Command.
Brigade, battalion, parade, rest.
Good morning and welcome to the change command ceremony for the 411th Engineer Brigade. We would also like to welcome our distinguished guests. Major General Stephen E. Strand, the commanding general for the 412th Theater Engineer Command and the presiding officer over today's change command ceremony. Brigadier General Matthew Warren, Deputy General of the 412th Theater Engineer Command. Major General retired Glenn Lesniak. Colonel retired Michael Donovan. Colonel retired Philippe Humbert. Command Sergeant Major Benny Hubbard, Command Sergeant Major of the 412th Theater Engineer Command. Command Sergeant Major retired Dennis Jocks, and the New Windsor Chief of Police Robert Doss. For today's change of command ceremony, the commander of the troops is Lieutenant Colonel Matt D'Arcangelo, 411th Engineer Brigade Executive Officer.
Brigade, battalion, attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the invocation delivered by the chaplain, the posting of the colors, followed by the playing of the national anthem. The official party for the ceremony includes the presiding officer, Major General Stephen Strand, the outgoing brigade commander, Colonel John Paul Plamondon, the incoming brigade commander, Colonel Kirk M. Claunch, and the brigade command sergeant major, Albert C. Ward.
I bow my head and invite you to pray with me. Gracious God, we pause to recognize your presence. We ask for your blessings on the ceremony, those who are participants, and those who will witness the passing of the colors. As Colonel Plamondon comes to the end of his tenure as commander, we reflect and are grateful for his leadership. We also thank you for the support he found in his family, the families of this brigade, civilians, and soldiers that engaged together to accomplish the mission. As Colonel Claunch assumes command of the 411 Engineer Brigade, We ask for him grace and wisdom equal to every need he has. Bless always the men and women of this engineer brigade, those who command and those who carry out the commands. Oh God, we boldly pray for our nation today. Help our leaders seek peace and pursue it. Inspire the citizens who direct our nation, that they may guide it wisely and steward its freedom well. This we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Sir, fellows present. Bless the colors. Present.
Present.
Arms. Order.
Order.
Arms. Parade.
Parade.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The 411th Engineer Brigade traces its lineage back to the 355th Engineer Regiment, which was first constituted on October 15, 1921 in the Organized Reserves. The regiment was organized in January 1922 with its headquarters in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. On September 1st, 1942, the regiment was activated at Camp White, Oregon in preparation for deployment to the European theater during World War II. The regiment undertook numerous bridging and mobility missions in Normandy, northern France, the Rhineland, and the Ardennes regions, and was awarded the Meritorious Unit Commendation for its service during the war. After the war, the regiment remained in Germany until it was inactivated on June 17, 1946. A year later, on May 27, 1947, the regiment was reactivated with its headquarters in Detroit, Michigan. It was again inactivated on December 31st, 1948 in Detroit and redesignated into the 411th Engineer Brigade on February 25th, 1949. From March 1949 to the next 40 years, the 411th Engineer Brigade underwent a series of reorganizations, relocations, and redesignations during a period of reserve service until it was called back to active duty to support the Gulf War in 1990. The 411th Engineer Brigade was activated on December 6, 1990 in Brooklyn, New York. It participated in Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm and earned 2 campaign streamers for participation in the conflict. On March 11, 1991, it was released from active military service and reverted to reserve status. On April 1, 1996, the brigade relocated to New Windsor, New York. It provided engineer support to Operation Joint Endeavor in Bosnia and Kosovo by augmenting the staff of the 412th Engineer Command and by deploying 2 organic companies to the mission, the 139th and the 141st Transportation Company detachments. In the summer of 2006, the 411th Engineer Brigade mobilized at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, and arrived in Iraq in September 2006 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The headquarters relieved the 130th Engineer Brigade, assuming control of a joint engineer task force comprised of over 3,000 engineers from the United States Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Marine Corps. From 2006 to 2007, the brigade completed over 200 projects on every major forward operating base in the country and 3 major projects supporting the Iraq War troop surge of 2007. In the construction of Fob Hammer in less than 45 days and the repair of the Albuquerque water treatment plant. The brigade headquarters returned home to New York in the fall of 2007 and after 1 year of deployment in Iraq. In April 2012, the 411th Engineer Brigade was again activated and deployed to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan to take command of the theater-wide engineer operations in the Combined Joint Area of Operations. The brigade formed a task force named Joint Task Force Empire, provided mission command for 5 U.S. Army Engineer Battalions, 2 U.S. Mobile Naval Construction Battalions, and 1 U.S. Air Force Prime Beef Squadron. The brigade provided mobility support, general survivability missions, and partnering with the Afghan National Army engineers in every regional command. The brigade remained deployed in Afghanistan until March 2013. The presentation of a bouquet of roses to the outgoing and incoming commanders, spouses, has been a long tradition in the change of command ceremony. Mrs. Plamondon is presented with a bouquet of red roses in full bloom, representing the beauty and fulfillment of her time with us as the First Lady of the Brigade. To Mrs. Claunch, we present a bouquet of yellow rosebuds. Yellow is the color of a new beginning and symbolizes Mrs. Claunch's arrival as the new First Lady of the organization. In time, the rosebuds will blossom, as will her relationship with the soldiers and their families.
Brigade! Attention!
Ladies and gentlemen, the transfer of the brigade colors this afternoon is significant in many ways. The history, traditions, and accomplishments of 411th Engineer Brigade are embodied in these colors. With the transfer, the unit's legacy is passed as a building block for future performance and achievements. The unit's colors are traditionally at the forefront of the formation and signify the continuity of the organization, even though individual members come and go. With the transfer of colors goes the transfer of responsibility for the accomplishment of the mission and the welfare of the soldiers. Colonel Plamondon has held these responsibilities for the past 24 months. He will now relinquish them, and Major General Strand will charge Colonel Kirk Claunch with these same responsibilities. The custodian of the brigade colors is the command sergeant major, the senior enlisted soldier in the unit and principal advisor to the commander. The ceremony begins as Sergeant Major Ward passes the colors to Colonel Plamondon for the last time. Colonel Plamondon passes the colors to Major General Strand, symbolizing his relinquishment of command. Major General Strand passes the colors to Colonel Claunch, the 411th Engineer Brigade Commander, and a tangible symbol of his assumption of command. Attention to order. By authority of the Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-3, the undersigned assumes command of the 411th Engineer Brigade, New Windsor, New York, effective 14 May 2022. Signed, Kirk M. Claunch, Colonel, Engineer, Commanding. Colonel Claunch is now returning the colors to the Command Sergeant Major, signifying his trust and confidence in the non-commissioned officers of the brigade.
Forward. March.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the 412th Theater Engineer Command, Major General Stephen E. Strand.
Momentous day. Welcome guests, so many. Very glad to see all of you here. So many distinguished guests as well. General Lesniak, very happy for you to be here. And I'm very thankful that so many families are able to attend, family members. Very glad you're here. And those of you online, which I know there's some family members there as well. So we're here to mark the change between two very talented officers in charge of a premier brigade in the Army. I wasn't even going to just say Reserve Brigade, but it's a premier brigade, regardless of component. This unit obviously has a lot of history. You heard a lot of it there, but it does more than what was just said. So those were its combat accolades. But in peacetime, an engineer brigade is in charge of, what you got, 4,000, 5,000 soldiers in the region. Multiple states, four battalions represented here by their command teams. All of whom are doing a lot of the same thing that the engineer brigade headquarters is doing. They're training, they're preparing for combat should it come. They're staying ready medically, they're staying ready physically. They're going to ranges. They're driving their vehicles. They're exercising their skills as engineers, digging, pushing dirt. Eventually we'll be getting back to laying minefields on the verge of that. We'll talk about some more change coming up. Clearing minefields, clearing routes, practicing their skills. All of that takes a lot of work. And it's every day. So while it's a reserve unit, there's still a daily requirement for processing in new soldiers, retiring the old ones, all kinds of things. The engineer brigades also bring a unique talent, engineer talent, specifically river crossing. The engineer brigade headquarters is the element that is responsible for that. And the 411th has done that, practicing a few times now, which is great. With the division element that they would need to be working with. They've had the opportunity to train with the 10th Mountain over the last couple of years. But obviously change happens. Changes in command, common. Some more things that changed while he's been in command. We got a new PT test. So we're adapting to that. We've got a new weapons squad. Well, where'd that panel go? The new weapons squad requires the use of some mount points that you have to hide behind. The Army's relearning how to do multi-domain operations. Well, not relearning. Learning how to do multi-domain operations. Extending from into large-scale combat operations. Relearning that part. But adding more domains, space and cyber. A lot of unit structure changes, particularly in the 478. So a lot is changing. The change of command will change the personality of the unit a little bit. But fundamentally, a unit stays the same in its organic structure. Some coming changes, besides the new commander, we'll have some funding challenges. Money's going to be tight. Probably means training days are going to be more limited. Probably means we won't get a lot of extra money to do extra stuff. That should not matter too much to most of the soldiers. It's just going to be the extra stuff that we're going to have to trim a bit. With all the changes to pressing towards multi-domain operations, the Army has redirected a lot of their funding into modernization, which in theory will come our way. Kirk will have to drive that change forward. A lot of changes in the engineer regiment, mostly impacted by the philosophy of multi-domain operations. We may end up with a formation called a protection brigade, and on active component, how they're going to create those is going to be to stand down some engineer brigades. That's going to put more pressure on this element, 411 in particular, all the reserve brigades in general. You'll have more to do with less money. A lot of restructure action still going on. Like you said before, so plenty to do in resetting the Army towards the large-scale combat mission. Some things that are constant. Well, now is COVID. COVID's a constant, as far as I can tell. A year or 2 years ago, when we did this change of command, we had to do it virtually because of COVID. So I'm very happy to be here live, in person. And a lot more people in this room. It was like 20 people in here at most last time. It was rough. But it is a fact of life now. We are going to have to stay safe, continue to monitor yourselves, continue to take precautions as necessary to protect yourselves and your families. 411 will have to continue to prepare for combat and its down trace. That hasn't changed. We're changing how we're tracking all that a little bit. But being ready to go to war is of vital importance. Obviously, Russia is a big factor. You see what's going on in Europe right now. China is the bigger threat. The national defense documents all point into the Pacific. Our other threats haven't really gone away either. So Korea and the bad actors are still out there. Iran. So you got to be prepared. That hasn't changed. I don't see our philosophy or our drive to train at the lowest unit level first. I don't see that changing, certainly in the next tenure. So focusing the training at the platoon and section level is still going to be critical. That's what we have time for. So that's where we're going to train. For headquarters, that section, those sections are those staff sections. And their responsibility are those running estimates, keeping up with what's going on in the world for their section. Building readiness through promotions, not changing. Still got to do that. Still got to recruit new soldiers. Still got to retain the ones we've got. Most critically, though, we need to continue to treat each other with dignity and respect. Make the climate somewhere where we all want to work. All that change puts a constant pressure on the commander. So in your little book there, you got a little description, a very short description of what command means. I've been thinking about what command means to me. I'm also nearing the end of my command. I kind of thought about command being it's you're like the person on the back of a rowboat that's calling out the commands to the people rowing, and the units. The members of the unit are the ones rowing. You got some that are pulling really hard. They're really strong, excellent soldiers, excellent rowers, pulling hard. You got another batch that's trying, but they're not as good, not as skilled. You got some that are just floating. You got a very few pulling the other way. So where does the commander think? Where does the commander put their time? All of that weighs on you as a commander. All of those, watching all the people in front of you while you're trying to go forward, it's all weighing on you. You put your time on the ones in the back pulling backwards, well, that's just kind of sucking the life out of you. You worry about the ones in the middle that you know you can improve and make the boat go faster. Or do you want to put your focus on the ones in the front that you know will be sitting in your seat someday? It's a little of both. It's a little of all of it is really what it amounts to. Takes balance for leading a command like this. You got to watch all those different aspects. You can't let the ones pulling backwards weigh you down mentally and emotionally. Command is a everyday job, Army Reserve or not. You're always a commander while you're in the seat. It's interesting. You also sign your own document saying you're in command now. But so as soon as you sign that document, he's in command. And it's his or hers for that duration until the next person signs that new document. Every day. So there's a lot of pressure there. It's unique to command. There's authorities that are unique to command and nowhere else in the Army. Officers are developed to be that, and only a very few get to sit where those two are sitting now at the brigade, especially an elite brigade like this level. JP, you've done very well with all the pressures in all directions, cheering on the leaders, kicking some of the backwards rowers out of the boat, and turning some of them around. Thank you. Thank you for all you've done. So, to do all the things that were discussed, so there was a lot of things talked about by the intro on what this unit's done in the last little bit, working with all the 10th Mountain and training the down trace and deploying a battalion and keeping the unit ready. It's more than the battalion they've deployed. We got a steady flow, even though there's no current war. There's still named operations out there that our units have to go support. So we get mobilized still. This unit's done very well in his tenure to keep the unit ready, to keep the unit full, to keep moving forward as engineers. But he's also had to develop some relationships with active component, which for this brigade, the best training environment is the full environment with an active duty division. Army Reserve doesn't have any divisions. We don't have any division headquarters, not a combat division. So that's a unique challenge for the Army Reserve, and he's done a great job creating that environment, creating that opportunity for this headquarters to learn how to do its job. That takes a lot of work, so I appreciate it. And while he was doing all that, somehow he managed to hang on to that commander's cup throughout his entire tenure. This brigade has managed, while metrics aren't the end-all, be-all, it is certainly an indicator of readiness, not the only. But he's trained his unit while at the same time keeping his unit most ready in terms of personnel, medical, equipment, and training. It's back there, it's giant. We still got it. So well done. Kirk comes to us with a significant amount of experience. He has served in one of these roles before, which is unusual, but it provided him a great foundation from which to lead from. For his last few assignments, he's really been built, trained, developed to be an ideal leader of this organization. So, I'm charging you with continuing the legacy that the 411th already has. This unit is in great shape. You need to keep it that way. Continue the development of it as a engineer brigade headquarters that is ready to cross rivers in the multi-domain operation environment, which is a big task. Continue to prep for deployment for this headquarters and all its downtrace. And particularly, don't forget to include families. Make sure they are ready as well. Not just the ones that are already deployed and are out there, but the ones that have yet to go. Families, thank you very much. Susan and Valerie both have sacrificed quite a bit to make sure that these two have gotten to where they are today. And thank you. It takes a lot of work to stay at home. The reserve world is very challenging. You've got two jobs. Typically, you're important in both jobs, and they've gotten even more important, as time's gone on in the Army. And I know that's taken a lot to hold on to that home front while they're on TDY every week somewhere. So I will say, my lesson learned from that, I got the talk one. I was told long ago that I had to be home 1 week in a month. So I charge you both, make sure you're home 1 week in a month for your families. Hope that helps. So I'm very proud to have served with all of you in the 411th, and both of you in particular. Good luck to you both in your assignments. JP is moving on to be the Chief of Staff at 416th Theater Engineer Command. It didn't get any easier, sorry. That's not much easier than command. I'm very proud of the 411th, its legacy, and where it is in terms of readiness. Keep up the good work. To the 411th, I charge you with this. I expect nothing less and your best for your new commander. Build to serve, SC Arms.
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing commander, Colonel COL Plamondon.
It's a good day. General Strand, thank you, sir. Good evening, good afternoon, distinguished guests, friends, family. Thank you for being here today. I want to thank everyone for coming to the change of command. But I'd like to recognize all the hard work that actually takes to put on one of these commands. So just a quick round of applause to the soldiers who actually set all this up. And also thank you to the Army Band. West Point Band is also here, so providing music. So thank you for that. I'm humbled and honored to have led this great organization for the past 2 years and ending my command on a high note. Command is the most difficult assignment an officer will have. Although difficult, but when you have a successful command, it's the most gratifying experience that you can have. For those that don't know, the brigade is represented by 4 battalions that are standing in front of you. The 363rd, the 463rd, 478th, and the 854th Engineer Battalion. Each of these great battalions are led by a lieutenant colonel and a command sergeant major. The 411th Engineer Brigade is made up of over 2,700 soldiers spanning 6 states, with soldiers in over 19 states. This amount of responsibility can be overwhelming, but when you have a great team in front of you, like I've had over the past 2 years, my job has been extremely easy. Thank you, battalion command teams, for that. I grew up in the 411th Engineer Brigade, starting my career as a private in this very brigade. I've seen this organization at its lowest level to its highest level. I believe today I'm leaving the 411th in a better place than where I started. The hard work we have done over the past 2 years would not have been done without my awesome brigade, battalion command teams, my staff, and my civilians. They are the true backbone to this unit. I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting my vision and executing my commander's intent flawlessly. We have done so much in 2 years, and I want to recognize some of it. First, we have deployed and redeployed 3 units. We've sent 4 units out to CTC rotations, a battalion overseas to conduct training to Germany. We completed over $100,000 in construction. We were winners of the Tech Commanders Cup 2 years in a row, and placed first in the readiness metrics 21 out of 24 months. The 411th Engineer Brigade is one of 4 named Engineer Brigade units in the Army Reserves. And when you leave here and go elsewhere, they will know that you've come from a great unit that has high standards. If you've survived working for me, you can work for anybody. Wear your patch proudly and speak of the 411th with great pride and history that we have earned. You have all earned that. For my mentors and friends that are here today and abroad, I want to thank you for your years of guidance, support, and shared knowledge that has assisted me to be the leader I am today. You have all been critical to my success, and I want to thank you. To the soldiers and civilians of the 411th Engineer Brigade, I want to tell you how thankful I am to have shared the same foxhole with you for the past 2 years. I've seen you grow as an organization, and you should be proud of what we have accomplished. I would like to recognize a few of my key staff that have helped me lead this great brigade over the past 2 years. To my S3, Lieutenant Colonel Bischoff. Andrew, thank you for always having my back and your team always being available to assist me. To my XO, Lieutenant Colonel D'Arcangelo, thank you for leading the staff and executing flawlessly. To my head civilian, Mrs. Adams, she always corrects me. I cannot thank you enough for your work to keep this brigade going. You've helped, you've been a trusted confidant, you've been a friend, you've been there always, and thank you, thank you, thank you. To my battle buddies, plural, I've had 2 since I was a commander here. First was Command Sergeant Major Dennis Jocks. I want to thank you for being the conduit for this brigade when I took over and being a friend that has helped this brigade be successful for so many years. And to my final battle buddy, CSM Ward, I want to thank you for your guidance, your patience, and all the talks that we've had about friends and family in the military. Thank you for everything, and for your constant mentoring. You've done a fantastic job, and I know you'll continue to stay strong. Thank you for your support for both of you. To Major General Strand, Brigadier General Warren, CSM Hubbard, CSM. Thank you for your guidance and your support you've given to me personally, all three of you. My late night calls or my early calls or calls on holidays, sir. My appreciation is grateful, and I thank you for your wisdom that you've shared with me and the trust that you've given to me to lead this brigade. Thank you for that. Colonel Claunch, Susan, I want to wish you the best of luck. You get an excellent brigade, Kirk. It's rich in history and success. Continue to carry the torch, be proud, and good luck to you both. Okay? And lastly, most importantly, is to my family. I cannot thank you enough for your support over the past 2 years of command and 32 years of my career in the military. You've sacrificed so much, and I know it has not been easy. I love you, and I look forward to having a little more free time, hopefully. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Finally, I want to thank all of you for sharing today with me and participating in this change of command. It's meant the world to me to be a part of this brigade for so long. I always keep my eye on the 411th. You'll always be a part of me. I'll always wear my patch on my right sleeve. You'll always be in my thoughts and prayers. I'm a phone call away. Brigade of Choice, thank you, thank you, thank you. Empire 6, out.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 411th Engineer Brigade, Colonel Kirk M. Claunch.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to start by saying what an honor it is to be here before you today. I never in a million years would have thought that the Army would have asked me to command another engineer brigade, but here I am, and we're going to make the most of it. I have to say a couple of things here. First of all, everybody thanks their family, and I need to do that as well. This would not be possible if it were not for Susan, who has all throughout my career stood behind me and told me that she was never going to let me quit or retire from the Army. So I'm in here to the finish because of Susan. I also want to thank back home my dad, Jim Claunch, my brother Kyle, and my sons Matt and Jack. It's truly been, as all of you know, all of our careers, it's a family effort, and we cannot do it without support from home. One of the things I want to talk about just briefly, because I know it's warm in here, is that Major General Strand talked about change. And this is something that is important to me to emphasize, just how significant it can be in our roles. And it takes me back many years when I took command of my company back Harrison, Arkansas, Charlie Company of the 489th. It was a beautiful day in Harrison, Arkansas, and the future couldn't have looked brighter. It was a great company, training plans all set out, best full-time staff you could ask for. It was going to be golden, and I knew exactly what to expect. And I got back on the plane, came home, best feeling I've ever had. That date was September 9th, 2001. 2 days later, everything changed. Almost 2 years to the day, we were in Iraq on a patrol looking for improvised explosive devices. When I took command, if you had asked me what an IED was, I just would have said I don't know. My point is this: we don't know what the future holds for us. But what we have to do is to continue to train and do those things that we do best. But it all starts with leadership. It all starts with having good NCOs, good soldiers, everybody that's committed to doing what our job is, which is to win our nation's wars. If it's not for that, we all may as well go home. But That's what we're here to do. Now, one more thing. I don't really think of it in terms of work. I want us to have a good time doing it. And wherever this takes us, whatever challenges we may have, we're going to have a good time doing it. So with that, I'm happy to be here. You've got a great, outstanding unit. I've seen the cup. It's impressive. But like any great fighter will tell you, staying on top is just as hard, if not harder, than getting there. And so let's give it everything we got. Essayons.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army Song, the Engineer Song, and remain standing for the benediction.
Brigade! Attention!
Playing of the Engineer Song. I'm AG. Sorry about that, guys.
Receive the benediction, please. O God, may you please bestow continued blessings on those who are participants in this change of command ceremony. Bless Colonel Plamondon, bless Colonel Claunch. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Most of all, thank you for your presence today. It never leaves us. Grant sweet rest to the soldiers who are able to be here for this passing of the colors. Brigade of Choice, peace be with you all. Amen.
Sir, this concludes the ceremony.
All policies remain in effect. Take charge.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. The reception for the new commander and his spouse will immediately follow in the drill hall. Colonel Plamondon will remain to say his final farewells. Thank you for attending today's ceremony and drive home safely.